Hi, I'm Gavin, and welcome back to the S.O.U.N.D Project. So today we have the pleasure of being in Mike Haddad's studio. Mike, it's so good to see you,
Gavin,
as
great
always.
to see you again too, man.
So this is Fox River Studios that we're in, your personal home studio. And man, this is one that dates back a while. Like we did this project back in, did we start talking 2012?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
2012.
yeah, 2012, and it was your dream to have a studio here at your house, and we got to work and created this beautiful space that you have here. But I kind of want to start a little bit by just kind of letting our audience know a little bit more about you and kind of your journey of how we got to here.
Yes, I am. Well, first of all, it's great to see you. Welcome back. You're always welcome back here, and I'm always proud of you, for you to be able to see this space that you so beautifully designed. And as I shared with you when we were getting together again this morning, it's being used a lot, which is great.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
We definitely want the studio to be creating magic and doing wonderful things. But basically, I'm a guitar player. Started when I was 14 years old. Classic example where, my dad got a guitar, didn't really fall in love with it, was sitting there. I picked it up and started plucking out notes.
Nice.
And went from there and learned how to play. And many, many years in the journey, I was gigging and just learning and performing, but eventually got exposed to recording.
Right.
And like a lot of musicians, you want to learn and have a bit more control. I wouldn't say I had to have control, like in a control kind of, I've got to do it my way.
Yeah.
But I just really wanted to learn. And because of live sound and live mixing, as you know, with a lot of gigging artists, they're mixing themselves.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford to have a live mix engineer.
True.
So I learned some of the principles, and then I said, I want to kind of figure this out. And so then I had a friend of mine that also had a home studio. It wasn't as extensively designed as the space we're in now, but really got to do some tracking.
Yeah.
And fell in love with the whole process, the collaboration, the creative process. So then fast forward to 2011, and we have this 2-car garage, detached, that we didn't really need. Amazingly, we didn't have enough stuff to put in it.
Right.
To be honest, but really, and the story, my wife is a photographer, and so we decided to split the space, that she would have a photo studio and I would have a recording studio, and it really happened like that. Now, I said a lot there, but I was 14 years old, and we built this together 12 years ago when I was 46. So there was a 30-year journey in there of playing, gigging, and learning all along the way.
That is awesome. And growing up, like, did you have any brothers or sisters that played as well, like any music?
I'm the oldest of 5 boys.
Okay.
I'm the only musician.
No way.
We were all, I'm going to say, athletes.
Yeah.
We all were high school athletes, but I was the only one to take up music in any way.
Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of the same way with my family. Like my brother, he played a little bit of like trombone in elementary school, but he never he got the film bug and I got the music bug. So but that's really cool. So with this space, doing this, I know that we got introduced through Sweetwater.
Yes, we did.
It was Ryan Sloan,
Ryan Sloan.
at
Thank
Sweetwater.
you, Ryan.
And
Ryan's still doing great,
yeah,
by the way.
he is.
We're still doing things with Ryan all the time.
Yeah, I see him often when I go up to Sweetwater, and yeah, he's doing awesome. But I'm so happy that he introduced us, and I mean that was way back when. 2012. That would have been the 3rd year of my business, and now it's 15.
Yes.
So it's been a while, and
yes.
Back then it was also just me. So it was.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't have any help, and
Gavin, you know the story. I had been buying gear from Ryan for years, and I literally shared with Ryan, sort of just being a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think I want to do a studio.
Yeah.
I really think I want to do this.
Yeah.
And he said, and he literally said, I know the person that can help you with this. That it was that organic. That's how we got connected.
Yeah. And
so thank you, Ryan.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
He was the one that got us paired up.
For sure. And doing this project, it was one of those things where complete blank canvas, really. It's like there was not a whole lot of, there's no columns to work around. It was just a garage,
Yeah.
And, but it was really fun. like a lot of my clients, but in particular with you, it's like just getting to know you along the way. It's like that's like my favorite part of any project, honestly, is just like the connection that people make. Because it's like, yeah, you can do technical details, you can get, get this right, get that right, order things, whatever. But it's like, it's more like who you know. And so it's just like, I've been really grateful to know you over these years and kind of see you and your family grow,
Yes, you have.
as
And
things
yours
have happened.
too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I didn't have any kids when
We
we
met,
started.
when we
Yeah.
first met.
Yeah. But do any of your kids also do music and use the studio at all?
Yes. So my wife had learned to play organ, read music, and a bit of piano for many years. Played flute and marching band. So she definitely can read music and understands music. But it's really our daughter that really pulled us into the space. So she's been singing, performing, dancing, and my daughter and her husband are really both classically trained singers, professionals. And they're primarily musical theater, but they're singing in churches, they're singing for nonprofits, they're doing all of that. They're just singing all the time. Yeah. And they know their way around music as well. But part of what I had my eye on for sure in the studio, and as you know, it's a personal studio.
Yeah.
Now I will say we've tracked a lot of great music in here by professionals as well.
Yeah.
But really, this was not designed to be a for-profit recording studio. I'm not trying to make an opinion either way on that. This was a personal recording studio, but a big part of it was to be able to have a space for our family to come and experiment. And I will say, often in the live room, Gavin, we'll just come in and jam and sing because the live room is just an amazing space to get together, turn some things on, and start having fun.
I remember that early in the process was such a important part for you. So, obviously we split the space with the photography studio, but so we had to make this control room big enough to sound good and be able to have mixes translate, but then not take away too much of the size of the live room because of that reason. Like you get together. Like how often I know that when, because you're retired now, right? Yeah. So I know
definitely not retired from life and making an impact, but from
your
working,
work.
sort of the stuff that I did. Yes.
But I remember when we were doing this project, you were still working there, and you didn't have as much time. You're like, man, I really wish I could use the studio more. But now, are you able to use it a little bit more?
Oh yeah, for sure. So sometimes I just come in here alone. Actually, when I say sometimes, I would say hundreds of times since we built the studio. Come in here and I just put on backing tracks. And I just go for it.
Just play.
And just play. And sometimes I'll sing, but often just playing. And as you can appreciate as a musician yourself, sometimes I'm inspired by certain tones, certain sounds that day. Other times it might feel a little woodsheady where I'm trying to learn and practice something, but a lot of times it's just to get a vibe and and do all the things that many musicians know. I think for those that are at it for a while, that everybody experiences, just kind of everything else melts away in that moment. You're just in the moment with the music and being in that live room. Sometimes by myself doing that is amazing. Conversely, for sure, anytime family comes to town, it's just a ritual. We're over here, and we're making some form of music. It isn't always perfect. A lot of times it's the kids banging away on things. We'll put them on the kit, or just if they can play any melody on the piano. But we get everybody. I can't tell you how many times you give them a bass guitar and just play that E, just play that low E. All you got, even if you want to hit, just slap it, just do whatever, and we can all work off of that.
That is so
just
cool.
To try and make it inclusive and get everybody excited about being part of it.
That's really great. Yeah, it's fun when the little ones can get involved. Like, because my son and my daughter, they both play piano, and like if we want to kind of write a song or like just play around a little bit, it's just like to get them involved. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. What is so I know that sometimes in this space you have people from outside come and use it, like other engineers or other bands and things like that. What's their reaction when they walk into what looks like from the outside? It still looks the same as it did when we started.
I will say they're always stunned in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, really tribute to you. I should probably capture more often the first time they see it.
Right.
Because you're walking up to it and it just looks like it really kind of looks like maybe a small little casita almost. You know, it's a little like maybe like a guest house
Yeah.
from the outside, but you
Yep.
walk in and then you see the space.
Yeah.
And they're all really blown away.
That's cool.
But really, they always say the same things. They can't believe how the room sounds. And I know there's subjectivity, but these rooms, I just think sound very warm and organic. You can see the materials that we selected. I mean, there's certainly a technical nature to it,
Yeah.
to the trapping and the diffusion and all of the various angles that were well thought out.
Yeah.
But the choice of materials, it's just a nice room to spend time in. Nobody gets fatigued in it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's really it's just great, welcoming
Yeah.
environment. And of course, the first time they track and they hear it coming back, you know, really no EQ, really, you know, you just basic mix.
Right.
They're always saying, my gosh,
Yeah.
you know, between the live room and the control room, we're starting from a really, really good place.
Great.
You know, so
great.
so I hear that all the time.
I'm really kind of curious too, is that, did you think this process was going to be as involved as it was? Like, because there's a lot that goes on to isolate these rooms and all of that stuff.
No,
Okay.
I could have never known. For me
Sure.
personally, and of course, you know, one of the great stories, and you know this, you know, the contractor that we hired to do this is somebody, you know, well known here in the area for building really nice homes.
Yeah.
Craftsman, carpenter, you know, by trade.
Yeah.
But he was just really, really stunned. There was a little bit of a fire hose to the face for him
Sure.
to really understand how we're going to do this, especially when we started to say, no, those electric, those switches aren't mounted in the wall. They're on the wall.
Right.
And you're going to silicone that little hole
Yep.
because nothing is
Yeah.
getting in or
Yeah.
out of there.
Yep.
And just you know, some of the floors floating.
Yep.
You know, what we were doing in the corners for traps. He had zero experience with that.
Yeah.
But I will say, you know, after he was in the business for 35 years at the time, he loved it. He talks about that project.
Yeah.
He's built hundreds of homes.
Right.
But he talks about this project
Sure.
as a real stretch for him.
Yeah.
And how proud he was of it. So yeah, I'm going to say it elevated all of us.
Yeah, it did. And I show pictures of this studio all the time, and when I give presentations places, and everyone's always impressed with the woodwork and this attention to detail, and that's really what you need in a contractor. And so I knew that we were in good hands, you know,
Yes.
to take care of all that. What do you think for, like, now that you have this space? I know you've had it for a while now, but is there anything that you haven't done in the studio that you'd like to do, or is like any future vision things that you'd want to use it for?
You know, I appreciate you asking. I would say we kind of have an identity and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I would say is we are somewhat limited on space, even though it's an amazing space and we can do a lot in here. I mean, we've tracked small choirs. We've rolled in B3s. You can't believe rolling in one of those Hammonds, but that's like, you know, with we've rolled in Leslie's. We've had horns in here. We've had really everything, you know, that you can think of. So we do get it done, but the space isn't large enough to do, you know, full choirs or big bands or orchestral type pieces. I just don't think I can make it happen here. So we're really happy because we can do a lot.
Yes.
So I would say probably the biggest evolution for us has just been the continuation of a progression more on the digital side, on the DAWs and the plugins.
Yeah.
But you know, the preamps are the preamps.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yep.
You know, I'm not looking to change those. The mics are the mics.
Yeah.
Now we've continued to add preamps and mics like a lot of studios do.
Sure.
But it's more the unlocking of the digital technology, primarily the DAWs and the plugins, you know, as the years go on.
That's great. Are you currently playing with a band or anything like that?
I'm not.
Not?
I'm not really. Just it's more of a time.
Yeah, sure.
Because as you know,
Yeah.
it's not just the gigs, it's the rehearsals, it's everything setting up, and you know, I mean, I did that for you know, for probably a good 12-year run. Now we weren't doing 100 gigs a year. We might have been doing 20 to 25 a year.
Still, that's a lot.
But it was still enough to kind of feel it and planning for it.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky I get my fix by by being able to jam
Yeah.
with some of the artists that are coming through here and with my
I feel like
family.
that goes through seasons because with my band, we used to play quite often and record and do all of that. And then it's funny because I had children, and then other bandmates were like, oh, this is going to like be this flurry of creativity for Gavin. He's going to be emotional about his kids. He's going to write songs about different things, and I've written 3 songs in the last 10 years.
Oh.
It's just not the time for it right now.
Yeah.
But we are playing more gigs and trying to get back into it a little bit.
And you built this business.
Yeah.
As you were sharing, I mean, you've just
Exactly.
had this really steady, thoughtful growth.
Mm-hmm.
But here you are 15 years later,
Yeah.
and it's really become something.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how much attention you've had to pay to that.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. It's like, it's all positive things, but it's still taxing things.
Sure it is.
It's things that take a little bit of toll, and sometimes maybe the creative side of me has to suffer a little bit to make that happen. But I'm getting back into it, and I think what's beautiful too about this space that you have is that when you're ready and you can just pop in here and do what you need to do. So
yeah, exactly.
that's great. So you have grandkids. Are any of them showing interest in music as well?
So all 3 are playing piano.
Okay. Cool.
And in fact, just the other day when my wife and I were with our grandkids, as we are often, we want to be, but our daughter and son-in-law have busy lives, so sometimes we're just there to kind of help you bridge a few hours while they're going on with their busy lives. But just the other day, they had a piano lesson. My job was to get that all set up.
Nice.
It was a virtual piano lesson with our youngest, our granddaughter, 6 years old. But yeah, music is flowing through them.
That's great.
It's great. Our daughter and son-in-law, you laugh about this. They're like, we just hope our kids aren't tone deaf.
Yeah.
And it's okay if they are, but they're not. They actually can all sing in pitch. They can all sing in time. So they're really happy about that. So yes, they're exposed to music. They've been around, I'm going to say grown up theaters, in green rooms, backstage.
Yeah, they're around it.
All the rehearsals. I mean, we have so many times they've gone to rehearsals with their mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so they've been in that environment. So it's really like that's almost home for them.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, my kids are both into piano as well. They actually have a virtual piano recital tonight that I'll be watching.
Great.
I actually wish I would have learned on piano. Like I learned on guitar, like maybe you did as well.
Here.
And it's like it just doesn't make as much sense as a piano does. But,
yes.
So I'm happy that they're getting that exposure early.
Yes, but you blow them away every time by saying, you can play that middle C in 5 places on a guitar.
Oh, right.
You show them that little trick about just moving up the fretboard where you can play that, and that always kind of stuns them because in the piano you only play it one place.
One spot.
Obviously, these are silly little things that we all know.
Yeah.
But I'll say there's a couple of cool things about
true.
the guitar. You get to choose where you want to play that note.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other notes are in different places too. And we talk about, the inversions because they're far enough along where they kind of get that now, and it twists their brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But believe me, I admire piano players.
Yeah.
Because when I see what they're doing, whether it's chording and arpeggiating or melodies and then singing, and my brain just goes boom. It just goes boom.
That's awesome. I was curious too, like, do you have like a favorite guitar that you usually play to? You gravitate towards one or?
Yeah. So I would say I love the one I'm playing, to be honest, not to be cute, but I love the one I'm playing.
Yeah.
But I will say, I find myself going to one. I probably gravitate to 2, but because you're asking me, I've got a 1994 PRS CE24.
Okay.
That I just love.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong. It's a 25-inch scale, so it's in between the Les Paul and Fender scale. And it's everything. It's how it hangs, the feel, the balance, the neck.
Yeah.
And the width of the nut. For guitar players, you know what I'm talking about. Some guitars just immediately feel great in your hands. And others you got to work at a little bit. And I don't think there's a right or wrong. Every instrument is capable of making amazing music.
Sure.
But some of it is just based on our anatomy and just how things fit. But that PRS CE24, and the other thing about that is it's a bolt-on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a bolt-on, which which I personally like the feel of a bolt-on.
Yep.
There's nothing quite like a Les Paul, the way it sings and sustains.
Sure.
I mean, it's incredible, and they're I mean, that's just kind of at the core of rock and roll.
Yeah.
But my PRS CE24 is my
PRS is one.
go-to.
Mine is the I have a GNL ASAT Classic.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
that one is probably my favorite. My Taylor acoustic I play probably the most, but
Yes.
I have a 314 CE. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, sometimes people just gravitate towards something. I was curious on that.
Oh,
for you.
yeah. Those GNLs are great.
They are.
Yeah,
They
great,
are.
great.
I have
Absolutely.
I have two of those, and then just recently I bought a Gretsch hollow body, which I'd been wanting to do for years, and I don't know why I always wouldn't justify it because I would say like, well, I'm not playing guitar that much these days, so like, why would I get this? But then I didn't have to go like. I guess in my mind I always thought like I need to look at the ones that are $3,000 or $4,000. And it's like I got one that was like $600-700, and it's awesome. Bought it at Sweetwater at Gearfest one year. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know you know this as we get further on in our years. Certainly having a great setup with gear is great, and that can certainly inspire creativity.
Yeah.
But the magic is in the artist. You know that. I mean,
That's
you
true.
know as a guitar player, the magic is in the hands.
Yeah.
I mean, how
I know
many
that
times?
in other guitarists,
Oh,
but the
my
magic's in their hands.
In their hands, yeah. Maybe not in our hands. Maybe not in our hands.
Yeah.
But I've been stunned, especially in the studio, when you literally have other guitar players, and we're talking about in real time, same everything, amp, guitar. All we're doing is taking off my shoulder and putting on theirs.
Yeah.
And playing the same piece, and just all the nuance and dynamics that come from other players.
Oh, it's amazing.
You know, you see that over and over again, and you realize it really starts with the artist.
That's awesome. Well, Mike, I just really appreciate you being on the podcast and inviting us back to your home. It's always I've been up here, multiple times, but every time I look forward to it and getting to see you again. So thanks again for being on the Sound Project.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and I'm really proud of you and happy that our lives have connected and we're able to enjoy all this together.
Thanks so much, Mike. So that's been another episode of the Sound Project. Thanks for being a part of it. Curious if you have a favorite guitar. Please comment that below, and we'll see you next week.